18. So just seeing their quality shots, I thought they did a really good job, even just playing off of each other.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we have got to talk about the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, and this huge win over the Golden State Valkyries. Because this game honestly told us a lot about where this Fever team is right now. And more importantly, it told us a lot about Caitlin Clark. Because let's be honest here, the Golden State Valkyries came into this matchup with one mission. Their entire focus was stopping Caitlin Clark. That was the assignment. That was the priority. And honestly, you have to give Natalie Nakase some credit because throughout her coaching career, she has built a reputation for being able to slow down elite guards. That is her specialty. That is what she hangs her hat on defensively. And from the opening possession, you could clearly see the Valkyries were throwing everything they had at Caitlin Clark. They threw Kayla Thornton at her. They switched Veronica Burton onto her. They tried Tiffany Hayes. They mixed coverages. They trapped her at times. They got physical off the ball. They bumped her constantly. Every cut she made was contested. Every screen she came off had somebody grabbing or leaning into her. The Valkyries were trying to make this game miserable for Caitlin Clark. And it still did not work. That is the biggest takeaway from this entire game, because Caitlin Clark completely controlled this game for most of the night. The Indiana Fever got their first ever win against the Golden State Valkyries, and Caitlin Clark was the engine behind everything. And this performance was important because coming into this game, Natalie Nakase genuinely looked like one of the few coaches who had figured Caitlin out. Caitlin Clark had only averaged 10.5 points per game against the Valkyries before this matchup. For most players, maybe that is acceptable. For Caitlin Clark, that is awful. That is completely below her standards. But tonight looked different from the start. Caitlin Clark finished with 22 points, 9 assists, 4 made threes, and shot 7 of 15 from the field. She controlled the pace, she controlled the momentum, and every single time the Fever needed a big shot or needed somebody to calm things down offensively, it was Caitlin Clark stepping up again. Now, yes, the ending of the game got sloppy. We have to be fair about that. She had 3 late turnovers that almost allowed the Valkyries to steal the game. But honestly, those mistakes were not coaching mistakes. Those were just careless decisions by Caitlin Clark herself. The pass to Aaliyah Boston was simply too high. It was unnecessary. Then she tried forcing a home run pass to Lexi Hull instead of making the simple play. Those are the kinds of mistakes Caitlin usually avoids late in games. That is why it stood out so much. And then there was the offensive foul that got upgraded to a flagrant review situation. Personally, I did not think it was flagrant. I thought it was clearly an offensive foul because she was moving during the screen, but it did not look intentional at all. Still, outside of those final few minutes, Caitlin Clark absolutely dominated this game. And honestly, one of the funniest parts of this entire matchup was watching the Valkyries completely abandon normal basketball defense and just focus on frustrating Caitlin mentally. Because if you watch the game closely, you could tell this was not just about stopping her offensively. The Valkyries wanted to annoy her. They wanted to irritate her. They wanted to bait her into technical fouls. Every single time Caitlin Clark moved without the ball, somebody was pushing her, somebody was grabbing her arm, somebody was bumping into her after the whistle. There were multiple moments where things almost escalated into double technical fouls. And what made it obvious was the fact that it was always different players involved. One possession, it was Tiffany Hayes. Another possession, it was Veronica Burton. Then it was somebody else. It genuinely felt like the Valkyries had a rotation system where different players were assigned to get under Caitlin Clark's skin so that no single player would risk fouling out or getting ejected. That honestly looked like part of the strategy. And to Caitlin Clark's credit, for most of the game, she handled it well. Now, yes, she picked up a technical foul, but people need to relax. It was her first technical foul of the season. 1 technical through 6 games is not some massive problem. She is going to be perfectly fine. What mattered more was how she responded basketball-wise, because every time the Valkyries made a run, Caitlin Clark answered. The Indiana Fever were trailing by 7 at one point, and it genuinely felt like the momentum was completely shifting toward the Golden State Valkyries. The crowd was into it, the Fever offense started looking stagnant, and then Caitlin Clark completely flipped the game. Lexi Hull knocked down a shot off a Caitlin assist. Aaliyah Boston scored inside. Caitlin hit free throws. Then she drilled a massive deep three-pointer that completely changed the energy of the game. And can we talk about ESPN calling every deep Caitlin Clark 3 a 35-footer? That shot was not from half court. It was probably around 28 feet. Still deep, still ridiculous, but not a 35-footer. Sometimes the broadcast exaggerate these shots like she's pulling from the parking lot every possession. But regardless, the shot was huge. Then Caitlin started getting downhill more aggressively. She hit a tough and one layup through contact to give the Fever the lead for the first time in what felt like forever. Then right after missing a difficult circus shot, she immediately recovered and found Sophie Cunningham wide open for a layup. That sequence right there perfectly explained Caitlin Clark's impact. Even when she misses, she still bends the defense so much that somebody else ends up wide open. And honestly, Aaliyah Boston benefited the most from the Valkyries' strategy all night, because the Valkyries were so obsessed with trapping and pressuring Caitlin Clark that Aaliyah Boston kept finding openings inside. There were stretches where Aaliyah Boston was basically getting free looks because Golden State defenders were overcommitting to Caitlin. Meanwhile, I actually thought the Valkyries did a pretty solid job defending Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell never really got comfortable offensively. She had very few easy scoring opportunities all game long. But it didn't matter because Caitlin Clark completely controlled the flow of the game. And this is why I keep saying that when Caitlin Clark is healthy, everything changes for the Indiana Fever. Because people were acting like Natalie Nakase had permanently figured her out. No, Caitlin Clark was dealing with injuries before. That matters. There is a massive difference between a limited Caitlin Clark and a healthy Caitlin Clark. Tonight proved that. Natalie Nakase threw every defensive adjustment imaginable at her. Different defenders, different coverages, physical defense, constant contact off the ball, mental games, frustration tactics, everything. And Caitlin Clark still finished with 22 points, 9 assists, while controlling most of the game. That tells you all you need to know. And honestly, if the Indiana Fever can get through this rough stretch of games sitting at 4-3, you absolutely take that, considering how inconsistent this team has looked at times this season. Because there have definitely been moments where this team has looked disorganized. There have been moments where the offense has stalled out completely. But games like this show the ceiling of this group when Caitlin Clark is healthy and aggressive. The chemistry between Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston looked much better tonight. Lexi Hull brought energy, Sophie Cunningham made timely plays, and even though the ending got shaky, the Fever still found a way to close the game out. That matters. And once again, I have to go back to Natalie Nakase because she clearly believed she had the blueprint for stopping Caitlin. She's hinted at it publicly before. She's talked about understanding how to defend Caitlin better than most teams. But tonight, none of it worked. The entire game plan honestly felt like this. Hack Caitlin Clark, frustrate Caitlin Clark, bump Caitlin Clark off the ball, and hope she loses composure. That genuinely felt like the strategy. And it failed. Completely failed. Because Caitlin Clark looked healthy, confident, aggressive, and in control for almost the entire game. So yeah, this was a statement performance from Caitlin Clark. This was a statement win for the Indiana Fever. And this was also a reminder that when Caitlin Clark is fully healthy, there aren't many defenses in this league that can truly stop her. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos like this.
Dictated a little bit more of our flow, but I thought we did a great job of still navigating the matchups that we wanted. Unfortunately, we just missed. We were aggressive in our actions. I felt we got downhill, we got to the spots. I think we had some quality looks, especially towards the end. Ball just didn't fall in.
What did you think of the arc quality?
I just said. They were trying to, again, we spaced the floor pretty well. I thought we, again, attacked the matchup that we wanted. And then, yeah, it just didn't fall tonight. Yep.
What did Indiana do to get Caitlin Clark going?
I think a lot, obviously, in transition. She flows really well. And then setting, a ton of ball screens. But we had, I think, a good coverage. I thought we had a good game plan. I just thought they were the more physical team. This is to me, they did play harder than us. Which again, that's who we are. We usually fight, with more physicality. We fight more together, and I think this game, give credit to Fever. They were ready. They were ready for the battle.
What are your takeaways from this back-to-back match?
That there's still a lot of things that we can clean up. I did tell them I was proud of them of punching. Did a good job, I think, in the second quarter. I thought Tip and Caitlin did a great job coming off the bench. Showed a lot of life. I felt like that their legs definitely were a little bit more fresh. They had 19 and 18, so just seeing their quality shots, I thought they did a really good job, even just playing off of each other. But definitely we could clean some things up, and I can be better. I can be better, possibly with a little quicker subs. I can do that.
And lastly, what did you make of the pace of this game, given that Indiana has the fastest pace in the league?
Yeah, they have a fast pace. We knew that too. We talked about it. We knew we were going to be in for a track meet. So again, that's why our defense, we needed it to be a little bit more higher. We needed it to be more sound, connected. Just a couple times I felt like one or two, or I'd say a couple possessions for us offensively